Hello everyone, today I'm going to be talking about the challenge ping wrapper. So to understand ping wrapper, we need to understand that our goal is to try and read the contents of the flag.txt file located at this IP address in this port number. But before we even try and read this file in the first place, we should understand what is the program running when we log in here. So what I'm going to use to log into this address is netcat, and netcat will allow me to just enter in this IP address and this port number and log me in from there. So let me do that. So now you can see I'm logged in and it's asking me for an address. So if I provide an IP address, such as 8.8.8.8, we can see that it gives us some information. So for example, there was a packet transmitted, it was received, but essentially the program, it worked, it did what it was supposed to do. But we can look at this further. So let me just get out of there. If we go to we actually have the pingwrapper.c file, so we can see what actual programs are running. So if you look in here, you can kind of see that there's a ping C array, but what it doesn't include is the address. That's what we're providing. And you can see that it's getting address from a standard input. But there's other things to it that's not just that simple. You can see that there are these other characters here denoted as a bat array, but that's because it won't allow you to type these words in the address you provide. So for example, if I go back and I type something such as grep, which was the first one, it'll give that response. So this is just something to be aware of, because while we're trying to exploit it, the programmers are somewhat ahead of us in this regard, because they already knew certain things that we may try to do exploit, so we have to find different avenues around that. So one thing that we can try and do is the fact that this is running a command, because if we go down here, we can see it's running the system of ping C. But before that, it concatenates the address that we provide. So if we can provide an additional command that could be executed, we can trick the program into running that additional command for us. Now, there are multiple ways to run certain things on the same line. One of the examples is a semicolon. So if I do ls semicolon ls, it'll run both of these commands. And you can see it did it twice. But the problem with this particular one is because semicolon is one of the characters that are blacklisted that won't be allowed for us to use. So other tools I'd recommend using is the double ampersand command in Linux. Now what that does is if I go back here and if I do ls ampersand ls, if the first command correctly executes, then it will execute the second command. So it's similar to a semicolon, but it requires that the first command be properly executed. So you see here, it did the same thing, it did multiple things on the same line. But the reason why I'm recommending this one is because ampersand is not one of the characters that they check for in the validation process. Now, normally, the other goal mentioned is we're trying to see what's in the file, and we're trying to see what data is in the file. So, but they already are ahead of us again because they have some VI, nano, which things you may want to use, but they also have cat. So another tool I'd recommend using is the TAC command. Now, TAC is very similar to cat because if I do, for example, cat this bar file, it shows these are the contents. But what TAC does is it just outputs the lines, but backwards. So you can see that file that was on the bottom here is now at the top, etc., etc. But the reason I recommend this command is because this command isn't checked for at all in this program. So it'll be a way to exploit it. So if we just try that, so if I go back in again, now we need to provide a correct address, but 8.8.8.8 worked last time. But then we can provide TAC and then flag.txt. And you see here we had the flag. So I just want to emphasize too that if we go back and do the same idea, we can do any command. It's not just the TAC command. So this found our correct flag, but we could also do ls. So essentially we're running the commands from their server. But this was part of the problem in the sense that why did it happen? It's because the ampersand was not checked here. So it was potentially overlooked by the developer. But way you could fix that is, yes, you could check again for the ampersand, but that there may be more overlooks like that could be exploited. So we don't want to just necessarily go for everything. And while that may solve this problem, we may not be considering another problem. So another idea is the fact that if an address has a specific weighted, like so for example, 8.8.8.8, we had to have specific numbers and like this pattern here. So if we sequentially check, okay, is the first thing a number, then is the first input a dot, a number, etc., then we can really limit the way we validate it. So this way, when we send it to the system, we can really be sure that it contains the exact pattern and the exact format that we want. So this was just one of the ways to exploit a ping wrapper by injecting commands on the command line. I hope you found this helpful. Thank you and have a good day.